Alright. What is up, you guys? The Fallout with here, and today I'm doing my what if. This is going to be what if Deku was, well, the son of Zoro. Part 6, I believe. Or part 7, hopefully. And here's what's going to happen. Deku is going to the whole heroes versus villains exam. Or no, not that. He goes to the whole like hero thing where basically someone has to be picked. And the thing is, I'm not going to be in that much detail of that because pretty much it's the same thing as, well, it's technically going to be the same thing as when he trains with Zoro, but different. Because Zoro's going to teach him advanced arm hockey and also advanced observation hockey. Now, I'm going to first show him advanced observation hockey. As you can see in this picture right here, or this one right here, this is going to be advanced observation hockey, which is a much more powerful version of the other two hockeys that are there, such as Observation Hockey Point 1 and Armament Hockey Point 1. So, Deku is going to be learning this, but he's not going to master it at all. Basically, he has to gather a lot of energy to do this. So, for right now, he's going to teach him the basics of advanced Armament Hockey, which is actually much more weirder due to the fact that it's somewhat grants like power over. It grants them somewhat like this kind of more oomph to it, where they have to push themselves even harder to try to like destroy something. And not only that, with also how would I say this? Without advanced observation hockey, it's much more clearer, and not only that, it feels like in what's called Deku's mind, it sounds like predicting time itself and knowing where it's going to be no matter how bad things get. And yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. Anyway, first Deku is just training with advanced armament hockey, and after that, observation hockey. But he's also training himself to the point where he's starting to understand how this works. And advanced armament hockey is much more easier, at least to him, to at least use. But observation hockey, or at least advancement hockey in general, that is still harder to do, because no matter how Deku tries to keep using advanced observation hockey, yeah, it's more like it's the same thing. And since Zoro's actually using it, their fights ends up with Zoro always winning. Couple of times, like once every 20 times, Deku keeps winning. And here's the thing, they've only done this for 2 whole days, no sleep or anything like that. Not only with that whole thing, but Deku finds out about what happened to Ida's brother. Deku is sad about that. Nonetheless, freaking that happens. Bakugo does go with freaking best genius, but I think it's going. And also that Froppy goes with her original like hero. I think the the spotted seal man thingy, majigger. I don't really know, but yeah, we're just gonna skip a couple of parts where Deku doesn't actually save. Well, he does save him because, for story's sake, we don't want Ida to die just yet. And you know what? No, actually, I think I'm going to just let him die. Yeah, I believe that, yeah, it's Deku's just going to let him die. Now, or not die, but at least be seriously injured to the point where he has to go through recovery if he ever wants to do his hero thing. But I think that's pretty much okay. Also with Chopper there, which also Chopper's going to help out Ida's brother. And now we get to the whole point of the Stain arc. So, with Stain, I believe that Stain's going to first challenge him because he thinks that this kid is somewhat, even though he knows that he's like the ultimate person, like someone who's strong, he does want to test it out. He doesn't want to like be like, oh yeah, I just went all out for nothing. So yeah, Zoro's father is, or Deku's dad is gone, and they actually don't meet in an alleyway. They do meet at a park. And the reason why that is because a random hero was just there at the park. So when Deku and freaking Stain start to show up, Zoro immediately just shoots out a kunai, which Deku just grabs, and he just sees it, and he's like, hey, you kind of dropped this, and threw it so fast that it freaking, it actually hits freaking Stain's armor, and actually it looked like he cut through it, but he actually didn't. And Deku was just looking at him saying, so you're the hero killer. And this is when Stain says, yeah, I am. And who are you? And this is when he says, my name is Izuku, Roanoa Izuku, due to the fact that I just wanted to give him Zoro's dad. Technically, I wanted to give him Zoro's last name. So, yeah, pretty much he's Roanoa Izuku. And not only that, whatever name I first gave Deku, I'm just gonna call him Deku. So, yeah. And this is when Stain says, why don't you use your full strength on me? And this is when freaking Deku says, I don't need to use my full strength on you. It doesn't look like it's worth it that much. And this is when Stain takes it back a little bit and be like, oh gosh, what do you mean, child? It's like, don't you at least have a little bit of fear? And this is when Deku says, no, I don't. I know that you're someone who thinks he's someone to be feared, but he's not really going to be feared by me, because I don't see it as a thing for you to be feared. Yeah, Deku just says, screw you, I'm not going to fear you at all. This is all just like kiddie stuff to him. And Deku just says this out loud, and freaking Stain just gets kind of mad and just charges at him. And pretty much Deku just sees this, and using actually just his first observation haki, and just moving around with freaking Stain, trying to hurt him. Deku's just dodging, moving backwards and stuff, making sure that he can actually just get away from all this, until he trips, because he sometimes does have his father's lack of direction, and he does trip over some, let's say, the curb. Like, it's, if you guys don't know what the curb is basically, it's a weird thing where it blocks cars from just like driving that one spot or trying to get through that spot. Like, when someone's driving, you have to basically not hit this curb, otherwise it's going to hurt your car. And depending on how low your car is, or if your car is even low at all, it doesn't matter. If you like the curb, sometimes I sit on the curb. It's a cool thing. But there's different curbs. But yeah, let's just stop talking about curbs. But he does trip on one. And so this is when Stain is actually about to stab him, saying, "You were good and all, but you still lacked in what's called common sense." Deku grabbing the sword. And this is when Stain says, "You idiot, why'd you grab the sword?" And this is when Deku just is holding it. And this is when freaking Stain tries to get out of there, or not get out of there, get out of the way, or not get out of the way, pull the sword off of him. And this is when Deku's just grabbing him, smiling, saying, "Sorry, but you don't know this, but I've been training my whole life to grab swords like this. There's nothing for you to actually gain from pulling this thing, besides a little bit of a workout." And this is when he grabs Stain and punches him straight in the face. After that, grabbing his sword and shooting a little bit of hockey into the weapon. And this is when he pretty much just only uses one sword style, and pretty much it's just air slash. It's just an air slash, pretty much. It cuts freaking Stain, and Stain's on the ground, just unconscious. And yeah, that's pretty much it right there. So we do get to the whole point of the story where Deku does go around and, just does his little thing. Now, the freaking people were called. Freaking Deku talked about this, saying that he was just defending himself. And this is when Ida is being healed by Chopper, as well as freaking his brother. And yeah, not only that, pretty much Deku does meet the school principal, and he does talk about the whole Nomu thing, which, yeah, the whole Nomu thing does go on, but without the whole incident of for people to try to like hurry up and stuff. So yeah, pretty much that's it. Nothing too bad's happened. Yeah. Whew. Man, I'm sorry, I keep just yawning, which is annoying me. But anyway, Deku is going to be in the whole in the training. He's going to be training for the rest of the couple of weeks, or at least the week that follows, because the whole heroes thing. Let's see. They do go to the camp right now, and we get to the point where Koda is there. And not only that, the freaking Wild Pussycats, they do their whole thing. It's just that when Deku knows what's going to happen, he pretty much stabs the freaking ground, and just he hits the ground, which causes this weird earthquake to happen, which actually gets the Wild Pussycats to actually just kind of tremble a bit. Even Aizawa's a little bit wobbly. And this is when he grabs Froppy and Bakugo, and this is when he jumps, and Bakugo says, "You idiot!" And pretty much Froppy is wait, what? What's happening here? And this is when Deku's on the ground, or at least landed on the ground, and this is when he says, "Alright, we gotta go." They pointed to this direction, and this is when they're Deku, it's this direction. And this is like I said, sometimes he gets it, sometimes he doesn't. More times than not, he just gets it. But there are those few times where he does get lost for no apparent reason. And even me and Dio was talking about this, oh yeah, he can go from the desert to Antarctica in a couple of seconds just because he doesn't know where he's going. Zoro is the ultimate teleportation device that we all... Sorry about that. Zoro is the ultimate teleportation device. So yeah, while that was happening, Deku does cut down a lot of the freaking creatures that are in the anime. And not only that, Bakugo and Froppy are getting a head start by exploding and by actually having Froppy explain to Bakugo where all the freaking creatures are at. So it was much more easier with Deku right there knowing where everything's at, but he's worrying about his side because Bakugo has her side. And Froppy is still helping out as Scout. So, after that, 5 minutes have passed, and they actually didn't go at all. Like, they were actually stunned. Well, the Wow Wow Pussycats are stunned on what Deku did. And this is when Aizawa says, yeah, you'll get used to it. And they're like, wait a minute, what do you mean used to it? Like, golly, Deku just did all that? And you're talking to me about this like this is like something. You're telling me this like this is not like big news. And Deku, like Aizawa was like, no, this is not news at all. Deku has done way more things before in the past. So yeah, pretty much this is when they're like, all right, students, let me just make a way for you, because clearly the whole thing with you, or not with you, basically with Deku, or not Deku. I'm trying to explain this part. It's like they just made a way, they made a path so that way they can at least give them a head start. But knowing that Deku and the others, and Deku, Bakugo, and Froppy are there, yeah, I think there's no point in all that. But anyway, so they go around. They get to the whole, like, they meet the whole, like, base. Deku does get punched. But this is when he grabs Koda and he says, why are you hitting me? Alright. Come on now, explain yourself. This is when he says, you heroes are nothing more than just idiots. And this is when Deku gets his hand and he smacks him in the butt. And this is when he says, oh yeah, that doesn't hurt at all. And Deku uses hockey. Armament hockey. Not level 2, just level 1. Level 2 is powerful. And this is when he's all like, alright. Armament hockey smack. Bam, right there. A slap into the freaking bottom. This is when Koda actually feels the pain, and he keeps doing it until Koda cries. This is when Bakugo and freaking Froppy are thinking thoughts that must be thought of already, and some of you guys are way ahead of me. But anyway, Deku does his whole thing, and just, pretty much makes Koda cry. Not only that, the others get there probably 20 minutes later, because they have to fend off against the other creatures that are there. Not only that, Deku goes around, does his whole thing. Koda just talks to him for a while, and yeah, he explains that what happened. Well, technically the aunt explains everything that happens, and not only that, we get to the whole point where he does understand what Koda's going through, in a way. Or not in a way, but he explains everything to him, like it's not fair. And Deku just says life isn't fair at all. You have to get over it. Come on now, you're older. You're a young kid who can do anything right now, but they decide to cry like a child. Even though that's exactly what he is. And Deku just, we get to the whole, like, Vanguard Action Squad thing, which Muscular does fight Deku. But, yeah, you guys probably know how this is going to go, except it's possibly going to be a little more different. With some things, people can understand what could actually be done. And what I mean by that is, Muscular actually has hockey. Now, it's actually a surprise because I actually wanted it because it was kind of cool and because hockey is pretty awesome. It's not like, I think to myself, some people probably have powers like this. Somebody already knows how to use hockey. Like, in the My Hero Academia universe, some people should have already learned how to use hockey, because hockey, even though there's only those few people, Muscular does have armament hockey. And yeah, this is what's going to happen when they fight. Muscular is about to land a punch. Deku grabs freaking Koda. No. Muscular is about to punch Koda. Deku gets in the way and actually grabs Koda and pulls him away. And this is when the whole fight starts. So Deku was just saying, "Who the hell are you?" And this is when Muscular says, "Oh, I see. You took my kill away from me." And this is when Muscular just gets mad and he tries to land a punch. But this is when Deku just grabs his sword and just slashes freaking Muscular's hand a bit. And this is when freaking Deku just says, "Alright, I'm going to ask you again. Who are you and what are you doing here?" This is when he finds out that Koda's crying. And Koda just says that his parents died because of him. And this is when Deku just says, oh yeah, he does say that, if I didn't say it clearly, he does say that it was Muscular that killed his parents. Deku's seeing what Muscular is doing right now, and which is smiling and laughing, saying that, oh, he knows his parents, they're the water heroes. And this is when Deku says, "How do you know that?" Well, it's because he's related to the Wild Wild Pussycats. Not only that, he's seen them on TV before. Just a couple of times. But this is when Deku just sees him and just grabs his other swords. And he just starts to charge in and trying to slash at freaking Muscular. But the thing is, Muscular's body is much more stronger. And not only that, it's much more tougher. So, when he uses the hockey, he pretty much is already using so many of the muscles in his body to just, well, technically take in any hit that happens. But this is when Deku just says, "I knew you were going to go for that, but I didn't know that you had hockey." And this is when they're like, "What's hockey?" And Deku says, "Oh gosh, people don't know what hockey is." Well, this is when Deku just says, "Fine then. If you're not going to, if you have hockey, then I'll use it too." And this is when Deku just charges in and tries to slash, but it's still a stalemate. Freaking Muscular actually punching him due to the fact that Deku wasn't paying attention. So, this is when a couple of minutes of them just going back and forth, slashing and all that stuff. But the thing is, Muscular is just laughing. And this is when Deku gets kind of mad. And he just keeps slashing and slashing and slashing, but nothing is going on. This is when he takes a bigger approach, and he uses the Onigiri. Not only that, he's used the 10-ton Phoenix Slash, which does do something, but alongside Muscular punches him really bad with 100% of his strength, and actually cracks a couple of ribs. And this is when Deku is just, well, on his, how would I say this? He's very, very, dang it, what's the word? Okay. He's very, he's very furious. And he starts to feel this kind of weird pressure around his body. But he doesn't know it. while that's all happening, Muscular is just taking in all the power, but not power, he's just taking all the brunt force due to the fact that each muscle fiber coated with hockey is like a stick. And if someone were to use that one muscle fiber, which is that it's not one muscle fiber, but like that weird little clump of muscle, and were to try to hit it with Deku's sword, it could still like withstand all of that pressure, and multiple clumps of muscle forming one part. So even if one of the freaking muscle fabrics were destroyed, there's still a heck of a lot more he has to keep breaking. And that's what Deku's downfall is. Now, Muscular has known hockey, but he doesn't use it all the time. Be it that he knows that he's stronger than them, or anyone, he knows that it's no use. But stronger opponents, oh yeah, he'll use it. And when freaking Muscular and Deku start slashing and hitting each other, pretty much they're just at a stalemate, with Deku keep losing more of his energy. But he's pretty much still up. And this is when he just shoots out freaking hockey and uses a blacker version of the 10-ton Phoenix, which does do a little bit more damage, but it's still not working. So Deku knows what he has to do, be it that he doesn't use it all the time. He never used it to its fullest extent. And he's trying his very hardest to start summoning the pressure and the spirit within him to keep going and going and going. And when I mean going and going and going, I literally mean that something in Deku is awakening, which technically his whole body starts to quiver in this weird excitement, and Deku's eyes start to become much more fierce. Not only that, with Deku's freaking swords and his hands becoming a different shade of color. They're becoming much more red and purplish. Not black anymore. But this is when Deku is starting to just shoot out more power into his body. And he knows what he has to do. He is grabbing all three swords, not even using the Ashura stance. And his swords are red and blackish, including his arms and some parts of his legs. And this is when he just starts to freaking say, Purgatory Onigiri, and just jumps super fast, to the point where even freaking Muscular couldn't see. Even though he could see, it was more the fact that he couldn't react in time. Just putting up his hands, Deku just slashes them, and Muscular just says that it was no use. But before he could try to laugh, his arms, or the freaking muscle, is cut. Not just cut, I mean shredded. I mean, so much power up to that point was just used like that. When I mean used, it's more like the fact that all those muscle fabrics tore off. So imagine somebody plucking leaves all at once, with still leaving the stick there. He took off all the muscle and left the skin. But Deku's not done. He pretty much grabs his just one sword and just slices. He slashed him pretty much with a 2-ton slash, which actually kind of shakes the ground, because he was slashing him downwards, which caused this weird eruption to go off. Deku just saying, "You're going to die. And even though I'm a hero, or planning to be one, I know that one thing's for certain. And that is that you'll never hurt anyone else again." This is when what's called Muscular says, "I'll see you in hell, bastard." And dies. This is when pretty much Koda cries and Deku grabs him, saying, there. It's going to be alright. You survived, for the most part. Now it's time for us to go. Not only that, we'll talk more about what I can do. Just keep the whole hockey thing secret. This is when Koda says, "What's hockey?" This is when Deku says, golly, I should have not said nothing. Fair enough. Oh, gosh. Now, after all that, pretty much the whole thing with the freaking Deku just taking him to Aizawa. Not only that, Deku is just running around slashing people, such as the guy with a magnetic quirk, or the... oh gosh. I really don't know what that quirk is. I know it's somewhat like North Pole, South Pole, South Pole, North Pole, North Pole. And not only that, Deku does use his observation hockey to see everyone. And not only that, this means that when the whole when everyone gets attacked, Deku is the one who actually gets caught. Due to the fact that when he was about to slash the quirk, yeah, he couldn't actually do it due to the fact that he was actually a little too slow. And Deku's actually the one that gets caught. Now, Deku gets caught. And when I mean caught, I actually mean like in the very, very end of that episode where Bakugo is caught and just taken. That's what happens. So he doesn't get saved. Not only that, Deku just says, so I'm captured, huh? I thought this could be purgatory, but this means that I can train here for a while, which is pretty good for me at least. Now, Deku is still, technically Deku is kidnapped. Everyone is scared. Not only that, nobody knows what to do. Bakugo and freaking Froppy are terrified because they're terrified, yet they have no fear due to the fact they're like, oh yeah, Deku's going to win. But at the same time, he's surrounded in their territory. So it's more of the fact that he doesn't know what's going to happen. He just knows that he needs a heck of a long time to actually hurry. He needs to be quick about this. And that's where I'm going to leave this off. Now, hopefully you guys liked it. If you didn't like it, I understand. This series hasn't been here for a long time. So yeah. Not only that, remember, like, comment, do subscribe to the channel here, people. This has been the Fallout with Fear. Bye.